This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Best Bets for Pets. I'm your show host, Michelle Fern. Okay, this is where I wish this program was also visual. Not so you could see me, but so you could see my next guest's book. But you can go on his website, you can look at his Instagram, and you will see the amazing illustrations. My next guest has a book called Dogs A Through BreedZ that he just put out. It is illustrated and written by him, and it is freaking amazing. We'll take a short break, and then we're going to talk to him. We'll be right back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to welcome Brett DeWall. He has the website Pets by Brett that is on Best Bets for Pets. I got that right. We were joking about that before. And you just wrote and illustrated Dogs A Through BreedZ. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Michelle. Appreciate being on.
I am so glad you're on. Your book is incredible. The pictures are amazing. I love that it's all in rhyme and just the little facts and everything. For everyone that's listening, if you didn't have a chance to go to the website first, the books, it's animated pictures. Well, you know what? I'm going to shut up and let you describe your book, Brett, because I'm just perplexed. I love it. I really love it. It was, like I was saying earlier, it was going to go to a young one, but I can't let it out of my hands. So let's talk from the beginning. How did you start doing illustrations and why dogs?
I started drawing, when I was like a little kid. And it was one of those things I just never grew out of. I remember my brother drew a picture and it made me laugh. And I thought, wow, I want to do that. Like the idea that you could have an idea in your brain, transfer it through your hand onto a piece of paper and then have someone else laugh about it. It just cracked me up. And as a kid, I remember I used to watch cartoons all the time and I would pause the frame on a VHS. I'm dating myself. Yeah.
Yep.
But I would have a static image and I would put a piece of paper up against the TV screen and I'd trace around it so I could learn how to draw different, that's how you draw an ear. Oh, okay. And I taught myself how to draw very early on. Fast forward, 30 years, and now I'm drawing directly onto a Wacom tablet monitor. And I do all my work digitally. And it's just a funny thing that I'm still essentially tracing on top of things and drawing directly on surfaces. But I used to make my own little comic books. I became fascinated with cartoons. And I thought for sure I was going to get into the world of animation. And I went to college, studied illustration. And then when I hit the Los Angeles circuit and tried to get into the animation studios, I was faced with constant rejection. And eventually I ended up finding out that I became a little disenchanted with the world. And I ended up staying in San Diego and worked as a graphic designer. And then I transitioned to a video guy. And then I fell back into the illustration world. So now I'm doing what I've always wanted to be doing, which is my own cartoony pictures. And I transitioned into doing pet portraits for people, but in a fun way, because most pet portraits I was looking at that you see around, they're very stoic and very serious. There are a lot of oil paintings. My stuff looks very cartoony, silly, and I would take into account dogs' personalities. For instance, you asked if I could do a portrait for you.
Yes. Wait, let me interrupt for a sec. Okay.
Sure.
So describe this. All right. For everyone, I received Brett's book in the mail and I was just, oh my God, this is amazing. And, I lost Zeus in August of 2020. And I have one portrait of him that's entirely different. It's not too stoic, but it's a portrait. It's nothing like what you do, nothing. And I thought, oh my God, I wonder if you could do this for Zeus. And I tried to look for a high-res picture of Zeus because Brett graciously said, yes, send me a high-res picture. And I thought, okay. And I sang you a picture. I don't even know if I said he's like a pretty chill dog, but he can have his moments, and got the picture back. And I was blown away, like absolutely blown away. And, Zeus, people know for the most part that he's the god that threw lightning bolts. He's not the god of rain or anything. He threw lightning bolts. And I named him that because I got him on the eve of Hurricane Wilma back in 2005. And the picture was of Zeus with a lightning bolt, which I thought was cool because people would probably make that association, but not likely. And also that you had his eye, because one eye is like Mr. Evil. And, he was a pretty chill guy, but if you bugged him too much, he would come at you. You really had to push him for that. And you have all the hairs, his hair on his head, his hairs were always sticking out and everything. It was perfect. And if all of you are interested, once this show airs, it's going to be on my Instagram. It'll be my picture on my Instagram because right now I have a photo of Zeus. But yeah, you got him so well. Before we go into your book, how did you do that? How did you transition and say, okay, I'm going to make this dog how?
With your dog or just with the process in general?
Any dog, because that will explain how you did it for Zeus as well.
So in general, people would send me a high-res or a few high-res pics. And sometimes I ask if they have any ideas. Some people, the original feeling was I could inject, if someone was a big Star Wars fan, I could give their dog a lightsaber or something. But I found that most people would just want a picture of their dog with their favorite ball or something. And then every once in a while, I would have a fun one where not that long ago, I did a bull terrier and it was named Crash. And they wanted him to be in a race car crashing into other race cars because he tended to just bounce off the walls. And then so I gave him a pretty cool picture. And that was a big fun one. But it varies. People tell me their story, what the little personality quirks, and I try to incorporate that into the pictures as best I can.
And the reason we're talking about this, and we'll talk about this a little more later, is because you also do portraits of the dogs as well for sale on your website. But we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about your book. Why did you decide to write Dogs A through BreedZ?
The main reason was I was running into the feeling that I was a little out of control. Like if people could come to me and I could get commission work, that was great. But eventually you run out of commissions. It feels like you're kind of hunting for that next job. And the commission process is also a bit on the expensive side. So I was trying to think as a customer, what's an easier way to balance this out? And I had gone to a festival, I had a booth and I was selling art prints. And I remember this one guy came up and he had no idea what art prints were. And when I described, he was just like, what do you do with it? And I was like, you put it up on a wall and you frame it and you look at it. And he's like, oh, neat.
Right.
I went, oh, okay. And meanwhile, people are selling shirts. They're selling all sorts of products. So I thought I need to get something I can replicate and get it down in price that the average family can check out my art. And kids' books seem to be a solid choice. And what I wasn't expecting is that when I started writing the thing, I'd be fully obsessed with writing the best possible kids' book I could make. And I completely threw everything I could into it. And I loved it. So now it feels like this is the logical step of where to go.
Okay, this book, I have to tell everyone, this book, I wish this was visual, but on my Instagram, which is at Michelle Fern Pet, there's going to be a lot of pictures, not all of the book, because I want you to go get it. But this book is incredible. Besides that, the illustrations are amazing. It rhymes. It felt a little bit, I hate to do comparisons, but as humans, we do that, like Dr. Seuss a little bit. Which I think is a good comparison because he's, iconic. I mean, Dr. Seuss, right? I hope you feel like that. That's what I meant it as a high praise.
No, I take that. Between Dr. Seuss and Shel Silverstein, a lot of the classics that I grew up reading myself and what I was drawn to, in my head, my favorite kids' books were the ones that rhymed. And I also love Sunday comics. I loved a lot of punchlines, things that would make me chuckle and want to turn the page and keep you engaged and want to keep turning that page. And so, I mean, the original concept, I was just going to draw a bunch of fun dogs doing various things, and I was going to have a one or two sentence little quick rhyme and just real quick. And the more I looked into every dog breed, I learned all these really cool fun facts. And I was like, I have to put all this in, and turned into what it turned into. It was a interesting process because I didn't completely outline the thing. It was just one thing led to the next, and eventually it just kept tightening and tightening up.
There's a lot of things you see about the book. It teaches alphabet for little kids, but for adults, it's just a lot of fun. And especially the facts, the little, interesting facts that are with several dogs. And of course, the pictures are amazing. How did you decide on which breeds? Because my only thing is that my favorite breed is not here, but I still love you. But you have Nikki's breed, which is Havanese, which is unusual, but no border collie. But that's okay. You have everybody else, and you have all these other cool. I like all dogs. How did you decide?
So the first step was I just had the structure of an A through Z. Every letter would correspond to a dog breed. And then I wrote out every letter and every dog breed in that letter. And I circled all the ones that I thought would be the most different looking, because I wanted the most variation to where when you're flipping through the book, you're like, all these are the same. They all come from the same genes.
You're right. You're so right. Because that was smart. That was really very smart, because they do all look so different.
And there's certain dogs that do look similar, like a Bichon Frise versus a Havanese. And so you have to kind of start going, well, that looks similar. I picked one that looked a little close to that already. And there's certain letters too that there's like 16 breeds that everybody knows. And then there's, the letter U has 2 breeds. And so you have to do a balance I try to balance out familiar dogs that people know versus completely unfamiliar you've never heard of, because they are fairly rare, but they all have really interesting backstories. And I think so long as you present it in a cool way, I think I always end up thinking it's a really engaging book, and you learn more that way, rather than just doing a standard, I'll just do a grab bag of poodle and bulldog and all the dogs that everybody's already heard of.
Oh, yeah.
But when you throw in like a Utenargan, people are like, what is that?
Yeah. And, I see what you mean, because pug is way more interesting than poodle. Sorry for poodle fans out there.
And that is part, it was, what would be more fun to draw? What would be a sillier picture? And it's like, I think pugs are pretty funny looking on their own. So let's do a pug this time. But I already have plans on making this a series and coming out with another batch.
What about for cats?
And cats as well. I have about 6 books in my head. It's just I don't have enough time to flesh them all out all at once. And I've always been a project person. And when I'm done with a project, I just move on to the next project. This is the first time where I really am concentrating on letting people know that this project exists before I move on to the next one.
Cats would be good. Then you can come on Catitude. But cats would be good. Cat people we love everything for our cats. So, but okay, let's get back to, I don't think I've ever loved looking through a book so much. So what was your favorite breed or favorite photo? Which was one of your favorite to draw?
Oh, that's a good question. I think my favorite ended up being the Lhasa Apso, because they originally were from ancient Buddhists, used to use them as guard dogs. And I started looking at Buddhist poster imagery and tried to take my style, but apply it in that direction. And it pushed me in a way that I wouldn't normally have come up with on my own. And so it felt somewhat challenging. I guess a lot of this felt challenging in different ways, but that one felt like one of the best things I've ever made. I think there's several pictures in this book that represent my best work. And I think that one's towards the top.
I could see the picture where the Buddha picture, that would be challenging for sure. What I like here is golden retriever. You drew a golden retriever, but you also drew a golden retriever with many tennis balls, because that was like one of these did you know facts. So why did you decide to do that?
That one was actually, I had drawn that picture. I had sketched it before I even thought of doing a kid's book. And when the opportunity came in my head to do a golden retriever, I was like, oh, I have that old sketch. I can probably make that work. And it's funny. I ended up working. I finished it up and then realized that I learned about the record after the fact. And the record was 6 tennis balls. I had originally drawn it with 5 tennis balls. So I had to go back and revise the picture because I'd sent an early copy to my brother and he was very confused. He's like, well, you have 5 tennis balls, but the record says 6. What's going on here? Certain decisions like that, it made for a funny image. And I ended up about midway through the book deciding to make a secondary image off to the other side of the page alongside the poem, mainly because I wanted to show this is what the dog really looks like. And then I could have complete freedom to do whatever on the other page, on the full page spread. And so that way you would actually be able to see the full body of a golden retriever rather than just focusing on the head with the tennis balls.
Right. And that's so true because they love putting tennis balls in their mouths. A family member has a golden retriever and they like everything in their mouth. Tennis balls, everything. All right, we're going to take a short break and we're going to be right back.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back, right after we kibble a little with our sponsors.
Hey everyone, Michelle Fern here. You know, being a pet parent is a huge responsibility. And since we don't talk dog or cat, we have to try our best to understand what's going on. But, knowing something's up with their health and not knowing why is one of the biggest challenges of being a pet parent. I remember when Zeus had vestibular old dog disease. This happens in the middle of the night or late at night. And of course, that was a huge expense going to the midnight vet clinic and all this blood work and all this other stuff. Boy, if I had Fuzzy then. Fuzzy is a telehealth service for pet parents that offers 24/7 access to personalized pet care from veterinary professionals. From everyday questions to middle of the night emergencies, Fuzzy has the answers pet parents need. Through live chat and virtual vet consultations available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Fuzzy can answer your pet questions, big and small, urgent and everyday. Fuzzy can also recommend the exact right products for your pet, all of which are handpicked by their established team of veterinary professionals and available at discounts exclusive to Fuzzy members. From getting your pet's diet just right to meeting their middle of the night needs to finally figuring out what makes their breath smell that way, nothing is too big or too small for a Fuzzy call. Right now, Fuzzy is offering our listeners a free 7-day trial membership. Go to yourfuzzy.com/PetLifeRadio today to sign up. That's a free 7-day trial and access to exclusive member discounts on pet meds, supplements, food, and more at yourfuzzy.com/PetLifeRadio. Again, yourfuzzy.com/PetLifeRadio for your free trial of Fuzzy with access to 24/7 personalized pet care and vet recommended product.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking to Brett DeWall and talking about his amazing book and talents. Which of the breeds did you find when you were drawing this and researching which one? Was there any one breed that stood out that you thought, wow, I had no idea about that?
Yeah, the first one really was, I picked Afghan Hound to start off with. Afghan Hounds, if people don't already know, they're practically greyhounds that have a big silky body of hair and their face looks like Fabio. And I just thought they were really cool looking. But when I looked into researching, I learned they were the first dog to be cloned. And it was somewhat buried when I found that. And I was like, that should be at the top of the list. That's super interesting. And that spurred on the idea of looking up more strange facts about dogs. And that changed the whole direction of the book and added a lot more of an educational value, and adding in the fun trivia facts. It all spurred from that little factoid. And it was cool because then the next one I had was B for boxer. And I learned that a boxer has the world's longest tongue. It holds the record at 17 inches. That's amazing.
Oh my God. How does that tongue go back in his mouth, I wonder?
I don't know. I saw a picture of the dog. It's unreal. It just drags along the ground, apparently.
I guess. I keep finding new things. So you have a special fact on every picture for every dog.
Practically. That was the amazing thing, was finding that every breed was so different. I came from an outside perspective. My wife knows everything about dogs. I like dogs, but I didn't know all the info. And when I started realizing that, every dog breed has its own quirk and own flavor. It's not just the looks, there's more to it. And I thought all that was really interesting. And a lot of the kids' books I looked at to see, I thought somebody had already put out something like this. And when I started looking around, you either had kids' books that were so simple and dumbed down, where it would just say, like, the dog is red. It's red, I said.
Yeah.
And like, okay, I didn't really get anything out of that, but okay, good to know. And then the next one would be encyclopedia style, where it would give way too much information. And if I were a kid, I'd look at it and put it away. It's just, maybe if I was doing a book report or something, but it's not a fun book to read. And so I was trying to bridge that gap of, I tell people, I'm trying to trick you into learning things, because the main thing was just to sit back, relax, and enjoy. But along the way, you'll pick up some fun things just because it rhymes, it's funny, and a picture might stick out in your brain. And then you go, oh yeah, that reminds me of this.
Yeah, maybe you need part 2 with the different breeds, A through Z, and really challenge yourself. Although you said some letters only had 2, so that'd be kind of hard.
Yeah, I've already laid out book 2. I'm ready to start. It's in the process, but I am still focusing on letting people know about the first one.
It's fabulous. Did you have an age range in mind? Because you say it's a kid's book, but obviously I'm not a kid and I find it fabulous. Is there an age range, or is it just kind of for kids, but everyone loves it kind of a book?
I put the age range as 6 to 10, but from what I've gathered, I have people telling me that their 4-year-old loves it. And then I have people saying that their 12-year-old loves it. And then a lot of the parents themselves are telling me how much not just their kid likes it, but that they like it, because there's a lot of kids' books that I don't want to dog on other kids' books, but sometimes they get a little tedious. And
exactly,
I can hear that through a lot of parents, that it's fairly refreshing to have a book that is engaging for both kids and adults. And the way I was figuring it, I think a lot of kids' book authors and other people involved in that are looking at the other companies, like what's everybody putting out? And they're looking at other kids' books as their competition. I was looking at Disney and Pixar. As a kid, I would be glued to the TV. It's like, how could I pull myself away from a TV? What would get me to be engaged in a book? That's how I'm trying to approach this thing. I wanted to make the artwork look like the best animated movie that's never been made. You know what I mean?
It's fabulous. I think next you need hardcover.
There's these little steps I have to keep hitting. And that's the next step, is to figure out how to get this in a hardback edition, and then again, maybe in specialized pet stores, and try to get it in some brick and mortar, and just figure out how best to let people know about this.
Right. Distributor or something, which is beyond the realms of this show, but we're going to try to get you word of mouth, get you out there. Let's talk about your website, petsbybrett.com. You have a few different things on your site. So can you share some of them?
Sure. Yeah. I put it up. It's got a bunch of prints that you can order direct, and it'll ship, and it's just random artwork and things that I thought were funny. But there's also custom pet portraits that you can request, and I do commissions from time to time. And essentially, it's whatever you want the picture to be. I can make it for you.
And I'm sure it's going to be growing once your book list. Now, where is your book available? Where can people purchase your book?
Amazon.com is that's the place right now.
That's the place. Okay. Soon to be, who knows? And your website for people to go to find, they can go to Amazon for the book. And the website is petsbybrett.com.
That's right. And you can find me on Instagram, Pets by Brett on Instagram. That's probably where I post the most.
Okay. Brett, so you alluded to that you're working on book number 2. Can you give us a little bit of details on what's happening?
Sure. At the moment, I've outlined the book. So I have which breeds I have in mind. And I've written 4 poems so far and sketched 1 sketch. So it's still pretty early on in the process. But it would be a very similar vibe of some familiar, some unfamiliar. But this one, expect a German Shepherd, a poodle, and I'm afraid I can't remember if I'm going to be able to do a border collie. Oh, I'm not doing border collie this time either. So you're going to be disappointed with me. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You really, my favorite breed, as you can tell from Zeus, is a mutt. And when I got him, they called him a flat hair retriever, and I thought they made that up because I've never heard of that. And I looked it up, and there is such a thing as flat hair retriever. So there's so many breeds that are. Maybe you should do a mutt. M for mutt. I mean,
I thought about it, but the possibilities are limitless. I feel like that would be book 20, 21 books or something. Different mutts.
Guys, check out this book. It is just amazing. I love it. It's humorous. It even has pronunciation on how to say some of these, like Ibisenhound. I think I said that right.
Yeah, that's right.
And, English Mastiff, which that I know. Okay. But I should, right?
The guide's working.
Pronunciation, there's facts about the little factoids. There's amazing illustrations. And Brett, I think you hit it all the way around. Your book is amazing.
Oh, thank you. I love the glowing reviews. So I appreciate the feedback.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate you having me.
You're so welcome. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this show. I'm telling you, please check out this book. The illustrations are amazing. The text it's just such a gorgeous book, and the illustrations are unbelievable. It's called Dogs, A Through BreedZ, and it's written and illustrated by Brett DeWall. And check it out on Amazon and also petsbybrett.com. And I'd like to thank Brett DeWall for coming on Best Pets for Pets and telling us about the book. Thank you also for that gorgeous, fabulous, amazing picture of Zeus. It'll be up once the show's up. So can't wait to show you guys. And I'd also like to thank my current crew, Nikki, who's a Havanese, and he's actually in the book, not Nikki, of course, but his breed. And thanks to the cat crew that listened while I read the book out loud to them, which is Sammy and Jethro and Charlotte, Dennis, and Molly. And of course, a huge thank you to my producer, Mark Winter, for making me and my guests sound amazing. And a wonderful, huge thank you and so much appreciation for my listening audience that listens to Best Pets for Pets. Thank you so much. We're going on 12 years. Wow. So thank you so much for listening to Best Pets for Pets. And hey, keep listening. You never know what we have coming up next.
Let's Talk Pets every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.